And tonight, the FBI, as we've been discussing, is in possession of a document allegedly detailing a criminal scheme from Biden's time as vice president. According to the claims in what is known as an FD or a 1023 document, Biden is accused of taking foreign bribes in exchange for policy decisions. Comer believes these claims are credible, need to be investigated. The FBI is refusing to turn over the unclassified document even after a subpoena. The White House is calling this a fact-free stunt. But if the document is not produced by Thursday, it won't be a stunt. James Comer has now promised he will hold the FBI director in contempt of Congress. Here with more, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, along with House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan. Let's talk a little bit. He showed you the document today. You'd already seen it, Congressman Comer. But the question is, my understanding is the FBI has had this since, what, 2020? Correct me if I'm wrong. And you want to know if it's been investigated.
Right. This particular document was dated in 2020, but there are notes in the document that date back to 2017. We believe that this human source initially informed the FBI of the bribery scheme back in 2017. So my question to the FBI was, what exactly have you done with this accusation? Because the FBI admitted that this is a highly credible, in fact, one of their most highly credible human sources. They admitted that they had paid this source a substantial amount of money, and he had been a part of the Bureau for 13 years, dating back to the Obama administration. And their answer to me, Sean, was, well, it's now a part of an ongoing investigation. We don't know which investigation. We don't know when the investigation began. All we know is 2 weeks ago, they tried to act like this form didn't exist. And here we are today with the FBI bringing the form to the House of Representatives.
Jim Jordan, let me bring you in here. According to news reports all over the country today, the arrest of Donald J. Trump is imminent, maybe as early as this week, Thursday or Friday, so we hear. Yeah. Last Thursday, you sent a letter to the AG, Merrick Garland, demanding details about the extent of FBI involvement in the special counsel probe that is being run by the special counsel, Jack Smith. Have you heard back?
No, we haven't, Sean. But the bottom line is this never ends. You go back to 2016 when they used a dossier that they knew was garbage to go spy on President Trump's campaign. Then they got 2018, you got the whole Mueller investigation. In that election, 2020, they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story. And then, of course, in 2022, 91 days before the election, they raid President Trump's home. And now here we are heading into the presidential election, and you got Joe Biden's Justice Department going after their opponent, the guy leading in every single poll. And that's after Alvin Bragg has already indicted President Trump. And this Fani Willis in Georgia is probably going to do the same thing. So it never ends, their quest to go after President Trump. And I would just say this about the document, Sean. This just isn't a document that's in the possession of the FBI. This is a document they created. And they created it based on what Jamie Comer just said. They had a credible source, one of their good sources who they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, bring this information to them. And then they create this document. We want to see it. How much you want to bet this source is a lot more credible than Christopher Steele, the guy who created the dossier that they used to go after President Trump? I bet you this source has a lot more credibility, but they will not let us see this document. I hope they do. I mean, the American people. I hope they let the American people see it.
And, Jim, I would argue that I think Ted Cruz is right. I don't think any indictment that comes this week is going to have a thing to do about top secret or classified documents, because then you have to apply the same standard to Hillary and Joe Biden. That brings Joe Biden directly into that. So it's going to be, OK, obstruction of justice or whatever. A crime about a non-crime, if you will, because if they're not going to indict on the original premise of the investigation, but you obstructed the investigation into the non-crime allegation.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that'll probably be obstruction. I think Senator Cruz is right. But we know this. They started out trying to get President Trump in 2016. Here we are 8 years later, and nothing has changed. It's all been baloney. It's all been bogus. And I think the American people see it for what it is.
James Comer, let's talk about where your committee is ultimately headed with your investigation. And, OK, and let's assume that you hold Director Wray in contempt. What does that mean as of Thursday?
Well, we're setting an example. When we subpoena information, there's a reason why, and we expect to get that information. The House Oversight Committee was created to have oversight over the federal government. And what Ted Cruz mentioned earlier and Jim Jordan talks about all the time is we have these federal bureaucracies that think they're immune to oversight. So we're following the money, Sean. I said this in December when we announced the investigation. We were going to follow the money. And obviously what we demonstrated a few weeks ago when we showed proof that there were many wire transfers from a Romanian national to the Biden family, to shell companies that the Biden family created that were then dispersed back down to various Biden family members. These payments were made while Joe Biden was vice president. These payments were made soon after, just days after he flew out of Romania on Air Force Two. What the whistleblower, or what the human informant alleged in the FBI form is exactly the same as what we saw in Romania. The vice president at the time, Joe Biden, was in the country. He was talking about foreign policy. And then soon afterwards, according to this highly credible, well-respected human source, then there was a bribe made. And it specifically detailed allegations that the bribe would be made in a way that would be very difficult to find, that they would use various bank accounts and various shell companies.
Wow. Jim Jordan, the central question that I think America is going to be asking by the end of the week, if all these rumors of a pending arrest of Donald Trump turn out to be true, is the very heart of your investigation in the Judiciary Committee. And that is the FBI politicized and is the DOJ weaponized? Is it? Have you gotten enough evidence to convince you?
Yeah, just look at the Durham report. He gives countless examples of how they had no credible evidence, no predicate, no probable cause, and they lost this investigation. In fact, there was credible intelligence that came into our government that they put in the form of a memo. They gave that memo to Mr. Comey and Mr. Strzok. Mr. Comey and Mr. Strzok failed to share that memorandum with key agents working the Crossfire Hurricane case, working this case. And when Mr. Durham interviewed one of those agents, he showed him the memo. The guy read the memo, became visibly upset, became emotional, stepped out of the room, came back in and said, I should have seen this memo. This could have changed what we were doing in that investigation. But Comey kept it from him. So, yes, there's two standards. And the people at the top of the FBI know that was the case. And that is not supposed to be how it works in our great country.
I agree with that. Jim Jordan, thank you. James Comer, thank you.